Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT. I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, this is going to be a prediction video, as you guys can see by the title, because this is a fight that I haven't really paid much attention to as far as when it got made. Didn't really make many videos about it, but it's a notable fight, and it's a good fight, and it's happening this Friday. I believe it'll be on ESPN, Top Rank on ESPN, so go check it out. We're going to have Oscar Valdez, and Oscar Valdez will be defending his WBO featherweight title against none other than Scott Quigg, and that's a good fight because you look at the fight, look at the tail of the tape, right? Oscar Valdez coming in at 5 feet 5.5 inches, Quigg 5'8", but when you look at them both fight, it's hard to envision Quigg as the bigger man because he doesn't fight like the bigger man. He fights as someone who likes to operate in close quarters. He likes to get into exchanges, and for that reason and that reason alone, this fight is very interesting to me. Before I get into my analysis of this fight, let me let you guys know that I have been keeping track of all the fights I've gotten right and wrong this year, and thus far I'm 15. I have a record of 15 wins, 4 losses, and 1 draw. So look, you guys can see right here. Here's my book of the fights I've gotten right. And last week I went 2-1. I could have won 3-0, but I went for the upset. I tried to pick Sullivan Barrett over Bivol, which was terrible. I could have won 3-0, but I picked Wilder over Ortiz, got that right. Luis Neri over Yamanaka, got that right. And then the lone fight I got wrong was Bivol versus Barrera. So that's what it is. So this week we're going for Mikey Garcia, another fight. And in this fight, I'll let you guys know later. But this is a good crossroads fight for both fighters. We'll start with Scott Quigg. Scott Quigg, on the domestic level of UK boxing, big name, had that big fight with Carl Frampton a couple years ago. Really wasn't the most exciting fight in the world. Got outboxed and lost. He was just a footnote in what was Carl Frampton's run to Fighter of the Year. So Scott Quigg, since then, has been laying rather under the radar with the fight he's been taking. He fought Jose Cayetano, who many of you guys may not remember, but I remember him because he fought Leo Santa Cruz on the undercard of Mayweather Pacquiao, and Cayetano was an insurance worker who fought Santa Cruz on the undercard. So he got a TKO win over Cayetano. Fought a guy named Villarreal Simeon. Tough fight, Simeon gave him some good rounds, but not the most notable name in the world. And then he fought a guy named Oleg Yelam. I can't even pronounce his name, but he stopped this guy. So he's 3-0 since the Frampton fight with 2 KOs. But I wouldn't say that his opposition has been the best. But Quigg is still generally rated one of the better fighters in the division, right? So you have Quigg, established featherweight, 34-1-2 with 25 knockouts. So he's coming into this fight with a lot to prove. Now, on the other side, we have Valdez, the younger fighter. Valdez, who, if we can go back 3 fights ago, going into the fight with Miguel Mariaga, Valdez was a guy being propped up as someone that you could put on the lower part of your pound list. There are some people out there I would hear say that Valdez was the 10th best fighter in boxing. And I thought that was a bit premature. Like, I thought Valdez needed to do a little more to warrant that type of hype. But, he was looking really good. He was coming off some good wins against Evgeny Gradovich, good, solid veteran. He fought Hishiro Ogawa, knocked him out, looked great. But ever since that Ogawa fight in late 2016, he's had 2 step-up fights against Miguel Mariaga and Genesis Cervania. We'll start Mariaga. Mariaga went to war with Valdez, and Valdez had to really grind that one out. Didn't stop him, knocked him on the canvas, but really had to grind that one out. And we saw Valdez had to dig deep and get a W, so he was able to do that on that fight. Then he fought, in my opinion, what's been thus far to date his probably best opponent. He fought an undefeated Genesis Cervania, and Cervania, solid fighter. He seemed to really expose weaknesses in Valdez. He knocked him down in the 4th round. This is a guy in Cervania who, like I said, going into the fight was undefeated. Good, slick boxer. Didn't have the most power in the world, but he was someone to be reckoned with, and he showed on the night. that he was more than worthy of challenging Valdez, and he validated his status in the division. So he's had 2 tough fights back to back, and he's coming into a third tough fight in a row with a guy in Quigg that people rate higher than those guys. It's viewed as a higher step up. But while people are saying, oh, well, he didn't look so good in those last 2 fights, and they could use that as a reason to say, hey, well, that's why he didn't lose his fight. I don't quite view it that way. I view it as, hey, Oscar Valdez, he got that experience at the right time, because if you look at before he had those 2 fights, he hadn't really gone through a whole lot of adversity. So now that he's went through some adversity in his career, he's been on the canvas, he's got up, he's learned how to grind out a win. I thought it was what he needed in his career for a fight of this magnitude with Quigg, a guy who, if we're being honest with you, hasn't fought the stiffest of competition since he lost to Frampton. He's been very, very safe with his opposition. So it's a good fight for where both guys are at in their careers. Quigg has been there and done that. Valdez is still establishing himself in boxing and has picked up some good wins in his career, but his stock has definitely dropped, and people don't look at him as like they were earlier. So it's interesting. And as far as the style matchup goes, you have Oscar Valdez, and I was listening to BDA's video, so shout out to BDA Boxing. I was listening to his video about this fight. Valdez is a guy, and I was going back and I was watching some film on Oscar Valdez, and he's one of those guys that, he doesn't really vary the speed of his punches. Every punch he's throwing has the same speed, the same amount of oomph on it, and this can cause him to, lose stamina, maybe fade in the later rounds at times. He's still young, so he still is able to get through it for the most part. But when you get up there against better fighters who can hurt you, that might not be the case. So Valdez, the way he swings, every punch is hard. He kind of reminds me of one of my favorite fighters, old school contender from back in the heavyweight division back in the 1950s. Bob Satterfield. Bob Satterfield was a guy, you go watch his fights with Rex Lane and Cleveland Williams and guys like that. He's someone who just swings hard, and Ezra Charles as well. He swings hard with every punch. Every punch is hard. There's no variation of the speed of the punches, and it's much the same way with Valdez. The only difference between him and a guy like Bob Satterfield is he doesn't have as weak of a chin as Bob Satterfield had, so that's what he does have going for him. He's got the speed advantage. He's got the athleticism advantage in this fight. But what I think Quigg has going for him in this fight is the fact that from what I've seen, looking at the film, he's the more accurate fighter. He's the guy that, while he doesn't have the athletic ability, he just seems to be the more consistent fighter in the ring. So that's what that's interesting about this fight to me. Although Valdez has the advantage in youth, speed, athleticism, it's Quigg who you would be led to believe, who based on film, if you watch the film, you'll be led to believe that Quigg is the guy that does the more consistent work on a consistent basis. So for me, I look at this fight for especially Valdez. This is a kind of, I don't want to say a sink or swim fight because he's already a champion, but this is kind of like a measuring stick fight to see where he's in the division. Is he, because Scott Quigg is at a certain level in the division, and if Valdez can win this step up fight, then I think it's going to put him in a good position. One thing I will say that I think Valdez does have going for him in this fight is the fact that Quigg, although he's 5'8", he doesn't fight like he's 5'8" at the weight class. He fights shorter than he is, and he likes to get into a lot of exchanges. So this could put Valdez in a great position to, land his money punch, which I've seen, and even in those recent couple fights from Quigg, he's been susceptible to the left hook, and that's one of Valdez's money punches. So I think at some point in the fight, 6th, 7th round, by the 6th, 7th round, I just see Valdez hurting Quigg for the simple fact that Quigg likes to telegraph a lot of his shots. Quigg, I think, will not be smart to exchange with Valdez. I think he might have to move a little bit more in this fight and pick his spots, because Valdez, you want to test that gas tank of Valdez. He likes to throw every punch hard, so you're gonna want to you're gonna want to block those punches and then punch when he has to rest, because he's one of those fighters that can fight in spurts at times, and that's what you want to do if you're a guy like Quigg. So he's gonna have to avoid getting hit by that left hook. And this fight really, I think the term 50-50 fight is overused in boxing, but to me, this is a true 50-50 fight because of the fact of where both guys are at in their careers, the style matchups, and Valdez was a guy, he had fantastic amateur experience. He hasn't looked so good in his last couple of fights, but and it's funny because Valdez is always a guy that I rate. I don't rate him ultra high, but I do rate him. I think he's a quality fighter, definitely world championship material, and I think the last two fights are just what I think the last two fights for him were just what he needed, and my official prediction for this fight against Scott Quigg will be that Oscar Valdez gets a stoppage victory. I'm gonna say in the middle rounds. I think with Quigg's problem is he likes to telegraph his shots. I think Valdez is the more explosive, faster fighter. And I just see him landing a left hook that's going to put this man on the canvas. And when he does put him on the canvas, I think we'll be able to finish the job. So I'm going to go for a Oscar Valdez 7th round stoppage over Scott Quigg. Quigg haven't really been the most impressed with his last couple of performances, as I haven't with Valdez. But what I haven't been impressed with Valdez, but he's been grinding his wins out against quality competition. And I can't say the same for Quigg. This will be his first real fight since the Frampton fight, and I'm not really sure what's left in the tank. I know, not that he's an old guy, but he's 29 years old. But I think this Valdez has more going for him in this fight. He's the more athletic fighter. He's the more explosive fighter. He is the guy that I think the left hook, being the money punch, is going to be Quigg's ultimate disaster. And that's just how I see the fight. So I'm going for a Oscar Valdez mid-round stoppage. My other prediction will be Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia getting the W over Sergey Lipinets I'm going to go for a unanimous decision in that fight. And then in the undercard, in the co-main of that fight, Kyle Relic versus Ransom Bartholomew. Kyle Relic looked. A lot of people thought Kyle Relic beat Bartholomew in the first fight. I'm going to go with my boy Ransom Bartholomew. I got Ransom with the unanimous decision victory. He might not be strong enough to hold his own at 140 anymore because he's not really the strongest fighter in the world, but he's got fantastic boxing skills. So we'll see if they can hold up. But Relic, I know, will be the favorite, so we'll go with upset Bartholomew or Relic. So my picks are Valdez, Mikey Garcia, and Bartholomew. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about Valdez, Quigg. Leave your comments down below. Take the time to subscribe. Let me know who you think will win and why. And like I said in every video, man, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just Kip from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.